Hey, welcome to day 2 of Blockfember, where we are focusing on the 22 most common blocks to entrepreneurial success. So today we're talking about launch trauma. Launch trauma is something that most entrepreneurs experience but are unaware of. So the feelings of fear, anger, sadness, and unworthiness are simply just bottled up and pushed aside so that they can focus on their day-to-day until it's time to launch again. And this is when it all comes up and spills over, which leads to stress, chaos, and inconsistency, and some lost sales too. So, if you aren't familiar with launch trauma, but that statement kind of hit, here are 7 more signs that you may be experiencing launch trauma. So 1, you keep pushing back the date of your next launch. You just keep pushing it back and pushing it back because you are dreading the feelings that are associated with launching because of your past launches not being successful or even if they were successful, they were super stressful. Like you got sick afterwards, that the money wasn't even worth it because you felt like crap. 2, you simple tasks like setting up an opt-in page stresses you out. Even if you have a team in place, you just thinking about how the opt-in page is going to look, if people are going to sign up, how is it going to be received. The whole process and the aftermath of just what that opt-in page means is stressing you out. You're easily irritated by your team and or clients. Like you are just like wondering why they didn't get this set up or why they can't just read your mind and have the sales page ready. You are just worried all the time and you're trying to micromanage them, which increases your level of stress and theirs. 4, you actually struggle to commit to a launch strategy. You're like, should I do webinars? Should I do a challenge? Should I do this? Should I do all of these things? And so you might do all of these things and you're overwhelming yourself and your team, or and then when you do all these things, you kind of half-ass it because you're not focused on one thing. So the inconsistency, the indecision, that's all a part of launch trauma because you don't want to make the wrong move again. Posting about your launch simply drains you. Like you don't want to go live. You don't want to post on IG. You don't want to post on TikTok. You don't want to post on YouTube. You don't even want to send out the emails. And if you do book any discovery calls or answering questions in your DMs, like it just drains you. You don't even want to talk about the launch. Or if anyone asks you how your launch is doing, you're like, ugh. And you simply have the urge to simply close your business and run away or just fall asleep. You just want to go to sleep. You don't even want to launch anymore. You're like, why am I even doing this? You're like, should I start looking for a 9-to-5 again? And if you're nodding your head, you're not alone. So many of my clients experience this. I experienced this. So let's talk about how to heal your launch trauma so you can move forward and see that you can actually have a successful launch. So first, you review what went wrong in your past launches. Like you look at the traffic that you got to the page. You look at the number of inquiries you received. How many of those, how quickly did you respond to those inquiries? How many of those people converted? What was it, the price point? How many people opted into a lower price point, mid price point, were interested in the higher ones? Was it the packaging? Like, what did you include? Is that something that's an industry standard or people couldn't wrap their head around it? Start to review what went wrong and then make sure that you look, number 2, look at the data and numbers. Take your emotions out of it because you may have thought like, oh my God, this is an amazing package. Like they have to love it. But the numbers and the data are like, people just weren't ready for something like this or didn't need something like this, or the current audience that you have isn't ready for something like this. You may have needed to build a new audience to sell this particular product or service. Like if you most of the time talk about beginner entrepreneurial stuff, talking about flipping the switch to 10K weeks, they're not going to believe that they can get that. So it might be your audience's belief in themselves using your product or service and not seeing that happen that affected your launch as well. So look at your packaging. Does it align with your clients or your current audience? Separate yourself from your product or service. Them saying no to your product or service does not mean that they are rejecting you as a person. Do not take it personally. And then ask your current clients why they enrolled, like what made them say yes, hit the buy button, the book button. And then take it another step, if you can, ask your current audience why they didn't. Because this is how you can find out, like, hey, I just didn't have the budget for something like this. I wish you had more payment options, or I wish like you minimized the package so that we could just wouldn't feel overwhelmed doing all this stuff in just 3 months. Or I wish you had a longer program, then I would have definitely invested in it. You get to learn so much that improves your packaging, your messaging for a successful future launch. If you learn from this failed launch, it actually isn't a failure. It was an experiment. Then check in with yourself. And when you're launching now, only do what feels good. If you don't like webinars, why are you doing a webinar? Why don't you just post in your stories for 30 days? Why don't you just do an email launch? Why don't you just go live? What feels good, and do that, because the energy you show up with, people will feel that. People will know. Use self-hypnosis, like go back to the past launch to release those emotional triggers. I know that during one of my launches, my website went down. And I know recently my team was like, oh, we need to call Bluehost. I was like, oh, I don't ever want to talk to Bluehost ever again. So I had to go and release that trigger for Bluehost, because just calling Bluehost doesn't mean that my site is going to go down again. So getting out of that state with self-hypnosis really helped. And then use affirmations to install confidence and put you on the right frequency, to get you into the heart frequency, so you can attract your ideal clients no matter what. So you can download specific launch success affirmations to push you into the heart frequency on the Black November Affirmations site. The link is below or linked in my bio. You can also get access to the Launch Success Subliminal Set that will help you start to shift into the frequency faster as well. Instead of having to use affirmations for 67 or 90 days, you can just shift with the subliminal set in 33. And there also is a self-hypnosis set that you can use. If it's not on the website, it will be in the next 48 hours. But you can use this self-hypnosis set to really shift and get into the state where you see your launch happening. So it's almost like a launch simulation. It's something I do with my one-on-one clients, like really shift them into that launch. But you can do that yourself with self-hypnosis if you're not ready to invest in a one-on-one session. So that's it for today's blog. I know that you can definitely heal from launch trauma. I've done it. My clients have done it. And I believe that you can do it too. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.